Let's get scratching.
We got an explosive broadcast coming to you. Listen up. Sega games, just keep playing them.
We're back. It's the Sega Swingin Report Show. Get ready for Sega interviews and news with George and Barry. Hello and welcome to episode 80 of the Sega Swingin Report Show. I'm Barry, with me is my co-host George.
Hello.
And joining us, we have an extra special guest, the man who handles social media and PR for a certain blue hedgehog, we call him Sonic, Mr. Aaron Weber.
Hello, how are you guys?
Doing great. Thank you so much for coming on to chat with us, Aaron.
Yeah, of course.
So let's dive right into the questions. The first one, I don't know why I asked this. Who is Aaron Weber?
I feel like I should respond with a quote, so I would start with just a guy who loves adventure. But no, I grew up with Sega. For the listeners maybe that don't know who I am, I spent a lot of my childhood playing Sega games. And of course I played a lot of other games too. It wasn't just Sega, so I had my Genesis and played Super Nintendo and N64 and PC and a lot of stuff. And loved video games growing up and always thought that someday I wanted to work at Sega, and that was kind of my dream. I actually have a letter I wrote to myself when I was in 7th grade that was like, pretty much, I was kind of a jerk in 7th grade, I found out, and the letter was pretty much like, if you're not working at Sega by the time you get this, and I got it like when I was 20, right? The teacher saved them and sent them out to us when we hit 20. It's like, if you're not working at Sega yet, you've slacked off. You need to like get on that and keep working towards it. So that's what I always wanted to do. And when I was 19, I had the opportunity to actually go out and work at Sega in San Francisco. And so I thought, well, I can either stay here in the middle of the country in kind of like no town, Missouri, or I can go out to California and work at Sega. And so I took the risk and left everything behind, and the rest is kind of history. Wow.
So before we get into your current roles at Sega, I just wanted to touch on, we've discussed your love of PSO in the past. So I'm just curious, how often do you still play the games from the series?
It's funny you ask that, because I had to move recently because the Sega offices have relocated from San Francisco down to Los Angeles. And so my little brother came out to help me move. And he played a lot of Phantasy Star with me back in the day. He had his own character. He got his own Dreamcast, actually, so we could play together online and stuff. And we packed everything up, right? We packed the TV up. We packed all the consoles up. The movers take it all away, and then pretty much the room is empty. And that night he busts out his PlayStation Portable, and he's like, "Hey man, do you still have Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinity?" And I'm like, "Oh, actually, I think I might." And so yeah, within the last 7 days, I've played PSP 2i with my little bro. So that kind of answers your question on Phantasy Star. But before that, it had been quite some time since I played any of the Phantasy Star games. But man, I love that franchise so much.
Very nice. Well, we love it too. We're hoping we get to see more of it in the future. George, you had some questions.
Oh yeah, can you tell us about your new position at the company and how it differs from your old position you held?
Yeah, totally. So familiar but new is like that. It's that cliche term that you hear a lot these days with regards to gaming and stuff like that. But it actually kind of applies to my new position as well. So Sega of America is notably smaller now than it used to be. But of course, the workload doesn't just disappear, right? So a lot of us are going to be wearing multiple hats. And so I'm doing a mix of both community and PR for Sonic. So you see me on the social channels like Twitter and Facebook. And if you guys were watching the Twitter feeds recently and going, how does this guy know about the 4th Chaos Emerald? Or how does he know all these things? Okay, it's because it's a fan, just like you guys. And so I've got to have a lot of fun with that lately. And we've seen a really great response to that. So I handle all the community stuff for Sonic. I also do the PR stuff for Sonic. And kind of for the time being, I also get to interact with all of the teams at Sega of America. So that means the licensing team. That means the production team. It's pretty much every group within the company I kind of get to interact with. And it's a really cool position in the sense that knowing a lot about Sonic, a lot of people will come and ask you, they'll say, how did we do with this game? Or how was this game taken? Or, do you think the fans would like this? And it's cool to be able to look at it and go, oh yeah, the fans would love that. or oh wait, no, hang on, don't do that, right? But at the same time, it's also quite a bit of pressure because there's so much going on, and the typical workday just doesn't have enough time to cram all that in there to get it all done in time. So I spend some late nights at the office. I used to do that a lot in the San Francisco office, and now here in LA, it's kind of the same. But I'm going to try to get a healthy life-work balance if possible. We'll see.
I'm picturing you as like a salary man. You're sleeping under your desk.
Pretty much, right? There are stories about that. I will admit I have fallen asleep at my desk at Sega at least once. It was late at night. It was like 8 p.m. In the San Francisco office, and it was when I was working on Hatsune Miku, and the game had almost come out, and I was like really trying to get everything done on it, and it was like juggling 30 things at once, right, to make sure all the promotions hit. And that was the first night that I like actually kind of passed out and woke up a little bit later. I was like, oh, I should probably go home now.
Oh man.
So Sega of America is moving to Los Angeles from San Francisco, and that's probably going to be a huge move for you guys. You guys already finished the move, right?
Sort of. We're still a little bit in the process, and I should take a moment actually to kind of honor and throw a tribute towards the many people at Sega of America that are no longer with the company. And I'm not sure if all the listeners know this, but so Sega of America obviously started kind of in the Bay Area, way back, right? Like you're talking the Redwood Shores, Tom Kalinske era with the Sega Genesis stuff. And earlier it traces its roots back to Hawaii as far as Sega as a company goes. But in the Bay Area, they were there for quite some time. And with the sort of transition, there were a lot of people that weren't able, to go down to Los Angeles for whatever reason, right? So it's kind of a sad time, to be entirely honest with you guys, because there's so many amazing people at Sega of America that are no longer with the company now. And there were some that had actually been there for like 20, 25 years. And when you think about that, that actually predates Sonic, right? That predates Sonic the Hedgehog. And I just wanted to kind of sort of throw tribute to them because they were really not only just really amazing people, but really amazing friends for me. And so when I first got to Sega, I was only 19 when I started there, right? And I grew up with Sega of America and a little bit with Sega of Europe and a little bit with Sega of Japan, but they were kind of my second family. And so when that news hit that the downsizing was happening and Sega was relocating and all of that, I actually didn't even know I was going back to Sega at that time. But it really hit hard because it's like, it's kind of hearing that this family that you have met and grown with is dispersing and is changing, and it was tough. But they were honestly such amazing people, and I'm really thankful that a lot of them have already moved on to new things and to better things. I'm really excited for that. But Sega of America, for all intents and purposes, is kind of going through a very big change, and it's kind of restarting here in Los Angeles. And so on one hand, I'm very honored and humbled to be a part of that, and on the other hand, I do want to take a moment to pay my respects to the many people that taught me and helped me so much as I was getting my start in the industry, right? And to say thank you to Sega of America for what it was and for the many memories that it provided. So I'll stop the soapbox rant there, but I just wanted to say that real quick.
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, without you and the team over there, and especially the past employees, we wouldn't be doing this right now. Sega Bits probably would not be anything. George, I'm sure, can attest to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, you said that Sega of America is smaller now that you guys are in LA, right?
Yes, compared to what we were in San Francisco. Yeah, I couldn't give you actual numbers, but there's definitely a lot more that we're doing on an individual basis.
Okay. So how's the move been going for everybody?
I mean, about as good as a move from San Francisco to LA can go, I suppose. It's a case of, trying to make sure everything gets sorted out and all the files and the assets are kept and maintained. There was so much stuff at Sega of America, guys. Oh, man.
Yeah.
There was so much stuff there that they had stored away, and obviously we can't take all this down. We don't have giant rooms to store all this stuff. We do have some storage areas that we've rented out and that I've had the joy of helping let the movers into and manage all the Sonic statues and stuff like that and get those packed away. But it's a challenge. It's always kind of a challenge to restart somewhere. But the team here, I think the team at Sega of America has taken it really well. I think they're doing a great job kind of rolling with the punches. And I think everyone will kind of be back on their feet and very comfortable with things within the next month or so. I think we'll finally be at a good spot there.
Cool. So, do you guys have any ETA when you guys are going to let us know where the new offices are located?
I thought you might ask that. Well, I will tell you that I am Skyping to you now from the new Sega of America headquarters, but I can't tell you where it is. I'm not sure what they did with that old blue Sega logo, though. We had one on the old building, right? This giant Sega logo you could see from the highway. Looked really amazing. And I don't know what they've done with that, but if you happen to see that show up in Los Angeles, that's a good hint as to where we are.
Nice. Well, we just, Aaron, we have all these cookies and sweets, and we don't know where to send them. I have to throw them in the garbage now. I don't know.
Okay, so the address you want to send those to is...
Just kidding. So, speaking of your current role, I'm curious, what sort of presence do you think is needed in social media to attract people to the Sonic the Hedgehog brand?
Yeah, that I think is a really good question. For me, this is just me personally, right? When it comes to social media, I think that it's important to be fun and to be entertaining. And I think that's great because that syncs up perfectly with kind of what Sonic used to be as a brand when he was kind of edgy and full of attitude. And like early 90s Sonic, to me, exemplifies that kind of attitude. It's weird because games and marketing and advertisements are in this sort of flux, I feel like, where you're playing your free-to-play games and you're getting bombarded by ads, or you're playing your either your MMOs or your other single-player games, and there's actual ads for games that are being like kind of hidden in there. And so it's weird because marketing and advertising has kind of become very synonymous with the games that we are playing. And so I think it's important, even though maybe you have a product you want to sell, right? Obviously, I want to promote the new Sonic game, Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, which is coming out later this year. But I don't want to be boring about it. And no one wants to read a really boring ad, right? So for me, it's more about making something that people actually enjoy. So if you have a product to talk about, that's cool. Make it fun. Make your message entertaining. And whenever you are putting that stuff out there, respond. And that for me is huge, because you can tweet something out, you can post something on Facebook, but whenever people actually respond back to you, it's important to get in there and to actually talk to them. Community is not a one-way street. And I think that it's really key that when people do want to engage with you, that you engage back. And so that's why you'll see on Twitter and all over the place, even on Facebook, I try to get in there and talk to people and respond to them. And when I can, I do it cleverly and or with memes, because we all love memes, right?
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff that I think is really important. Keep it fun, keep it entertaining, and make it a place where people want to go and talk to you. And I think that's kind of the key to success on social media.
Very nice. Yeah, I noticed too you like to do a little self-deprecating humor, which sometimes catches people off guard. That sort of like, oh my gosh, did the official Sonic account just say that? But you've done a very good job so far. I'm curious though, right. in your opinion, what is the one thing that the Sonic brand has to improve, and what is something that the brand has been doing correctly? Maybe something the brand's been doing correctly after you left and before you returned.
Okay, yeah. And this is just the brand as a whole, like just on social media, or just the whole brand?
Let's go with the social media aspect.
Cool. Yeah. So I think most important for me is kind of being making the brand very self-aware, and you kind of said like self-deprecating, but in many ways I think it's more about being able to laugh with other people, even if it's at your own expense sometimes. And having that sort of sense of humor that you kind of, in my opinion, need to really exist on the internet, and to be something that's relevant, and to be a personality that people actually want to talk to and want to interact with. And that's one of the things you might have seen the tweet where someone's like, "Tell me about when Sonic kissed the princess," and I was like, "Nope, never happened. Nope." Like, that kind of stuff I think is important, because you don't want to just ignore that question, but at the same time, this guy's baiting you. This guy is trying to troll you. So you need something that's kind of an appropriate response that people will still find entertaining, but that lets you engage.
Right, of course.
So that's what I'd probably say is one of the most important things from a social media perspective, is being open to talking about all of the history of Sonic, including some of the weird stuff, or even, for example, National Kissing Day was trending the other week. And obviously we hadn't planned for that because that was one of the Twitter trends, but I decided let's reference a couple moments in Sonic history, or maybe certain Sonic fan art that we will not speak of, right? And so I said, we'd post something for National Kissing Day, but some things can't be unseen. And so stuff like that, when you reference the parts of your brand or just the internet that people know about, they kind of are caught off guard, like you said the first time. And they go, wait, did the official Twitter just say that? Really? And it's important to do that sometimes, I think, to let them know that, yeah, we'll totally reference that stuff or do it if it's funny and if we think that the fans would appreciate it.
Very cool. Yeah, you're doing an awesome job. George?
Do you need to have like permission to say stuff like that? Do you have to be like, I gotta get permission from the higher ups to talk about Sonic kissing a person or something, Or do you just go for it? You're like, I'm just gonna go for it.
Oh, I probably need permission. I get to stay locked up in a box in the back of the room, so I just kind of do whatever I want. And I feel like, if I do anything too bad, they'll come hit me with a stick a couple times and say, hey, stop that. But they haven't hit me with the stick yet. So if the pages ever get boring, that's probably what happened. But in the meantime, no, we've seen great success actually with this. I think we picked up something like 21,000 followers over the last couple weeks with this new strategy, and kind of just getting in there and being fun. And so I have no intent personally to stop on this direction, but it's a good question that you raised, because there's a very fine line that you have to walk here, which is you want to keep it fun and entertaining, but you have to be careful, because one misstep, right, and the whole thing goes off the rails.
Yeah.
And so that's the pressure that I live with every morning, of like rereading every post a few times and going, is there any way that someone could take this the wrong direction? Or, is this potentially something that will come back to bite us? But so far we've had a really good time with it, and I just try to keep it on track and focused and still fun.
Very, very good. I want to talk briefly about Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. I think this came about while we were planning this interview, so we added some questions. There's been, I guess I'll ask the question, was the development name for the game Mach 2, or did Mach 2 ever exist? I know this is, I guess some people listening to this for the first time might need prior knowledge, but basically Mach 2 was some name being thrown about by a few sources.
Right. Typically, I would not answer this question for you. However, Izuka-san already answered it, apparently, as I have found out. So I will answer it for you as well. And that is yes. So, Mach 2 apparently was the code name for Sonic Boom Fire and Ice.
Nice.
And thank you, Izuka-san, for answering that one on Facebook for the fans.
Yeah.
George?
Yes. When Sonic, the last game that came out for Sonic and Ice, Shattered Crystals, came out a year prior to this one. Do you think that a year is enough time for the developers to release a polished follow-up?
Yeah. So my understanding, I wasn't at Sega at this time, but my understanding is that they actually have been working on Fire and Ice far before most people might be expecting. I think really, to answer that question best, we need to look at what they're actually doing within the game that addresses the fan feedback from last year. So the levels, for a start, are shorter in length, right? And that was a big complaint last year, was the levels were huge, but people just got lost, and you'd spend massive amounts of time going through the levels. So they've made them a lot shorter. They've tried to condense the linear path down so that all the collectibles are sort of tertiary. They're up there, they're out there. You can still go find them, and that content is there, but you're never really forced to go through it. And if you want to just kind of speedrun a level, it's a bit easier to do that now. And then, of course, actually on the note of collectibles, you don't have to go back and find them all, which was, from what I could tell when I was going through and reading all the reviews, that was a really big thing last year when it came to complaints from fans and from press, was they did not like having to get all the collectibles. So that whole requirement has been knocked out, and you can just play a level, beat the level, move on to the next level, and just rinse and repeat all the way till the end of the game. I do know that they've also taken things that people really liked. So the Sea Fox minigame with Tails and his submarine got some good feedback last year, and so they've taken that and really improved that from both a gameplay and a graphic quality perspective. Now that said, so do I think that that's going to address every criticism that has existed from the first game? Oh no, absolutely not. Because when you look at a series like this, and especially with the gaming industry, just in general, right? People, I would say they hold grudges, but people have a lot that they're expecting, and the first impressions are very, very important. And so I think in this case, because for people that may not have really watched the TV show or people that have only heard about the Wii U version of the game last year, right? I think there's a certain certain mindset kind of attached to that, where people are going to look at that and they're going to go, well, I don't like this game because, in my opinion, Sonic should be this kind of game instead. And they're not judging it necessarily from is the game good? They're judging it from the perspective of, in my mind, I remember Sonic being like this. And the fun part about this great kind of catch-22 is that all of us have different expectations about what we think the ideal Sonic game should be. I know, George, you've probably got something in your mind. Barry, you've got something. And for me, I'm like, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, that was the best, right? But everyone's got something a little different. And so when it comes to a game like this, it's tough sometimes, because no matter what you build, no matter how good it is, sometimes I think people will criticize it because when they put on those nostalgia glasses, and oh, how rose-tinted those glasses can be, you will never be able to live up to that nostalgia. But I think in many ways, though, it's important. If any team can do it, if any team can take the Sonic Boom name and series as far as the games go and really turn it around and really bring it back, I think it's Sanzaru. So I have a lot of faith in those guys. Sanzaru, if you're listening, I love you. I believe in you. And they're really great people, all really nice people.
For sure.
So that's how I would answer that question. Pretty long answer, sorry, but I hope that kind of explains in great detail my personal take on all that.
Yeah, we spoke with Matt Kramer of Sanzaru. So yeah, they're nice people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to ask, is the last games, the Inner Beam had a big role in the game. Is this coming back for this game?
It is back for certain things. It's used kind of in like platforming elements. So you might be jumping and you would use the Inner Beam to kind of swing from section to section. Beyond that, from what I've seen, it doesn't have a massive role in the game. It's a very platforming focused game in the same way that Shattered Crystal was. So there's not a lot that you have to do outside of platforming elements with the Inner Beam.
All right. Story-wise, are we going to be able to see more cutscenes in this game compared to the last one? And will we see more? Will we see island folk like Orbot and Cubot be in the game?
That is a good question. I can't tell you everything, but are you talking CG cutscenes?
I guess just cutscenes, yeah.
Okay, because I mean, in the last game, there were kind of those cutscenes where you just saw the two characters on screen, and the text bubbles would pop up. And then there were also the nicer looking, more professional CG cutscenes. And I can't really spoil anything, and I don't want to necessarily set expectations too high, but I have seen at least one of the CG movies that's in the game for Fire and Ice. The quality is really impressive. So I'm really stoked for you guys to kind of see what they've done with those, just from like a quality perspective with those cinematics that look really cool.
Very cool. So when Sonic Boom launched, some fans felt that there was a disconnect between the game, the TV show, and the comics. When it first kicked off, I decided, I'm just going to go all in. So I watched all the shows, the comics, the TV. So now that the TV show seems to be kind of the backbone of the franchise, can we expect Fire and Ice to feel closer to the show? And also, is there a Sonic Boom Bible that expands on the backstories, locations, and character motivations that maybe either Sanzaru or the TV show team are looking at?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's definitely true that the TV show is doing great. I think it's ranked currently number 1 in its time slot on Cartoon Network. I think it's number 1 potentially in France right now too, and it's doing extremely well in a lot of the other countries that it has started airing in. It actually just started airing in the UK, and the episodes are great. All the voice actors do a phenomenal job. The writers do a great job with the comedy, I feel, and so. And it kind of shows. The show is getting really, really good ratings and good reviews. To your question about will the game necessarily be a lot more like the show, I haven't seen enough to confirm really if that is the case. I think it's best to look at it kind of from the perspective of it's definitely tied in with the show. So you're going to see a lot of different locations from the show in the game, and you might see characters from the show in the game as well. As to your question of is there a Sonic Boom Bible, yeah, absolutely. There's essentially a Bible for kind of every universe of Sonic that exists, and they vary, I suppose, by the franchise. There's we have classic Sonic, and there's what we call modern Sonic, and then there's Sonic Boom. But there's a lot of info out there and a lot of stuff that is created for every character. A lot of love and kind of care goes into each individual character from a design perspective as we use them going forward.
Oh, very cool. So is the plan to have the Sonic Boom games being a yearly franchise, or are you guys going on a game-by-game basis? And I just ask because, like you said, Fire and Ice was in development for quite a long time, and I don't know if you said it was starting development before Shattered Crystal, but that's what I guess brought the question up.
Right, so you're saying, like, is it will there be more Sonic Boom games is the question.
Yeah, or is Sega looking at Fire and Ice as the deciding factor?
Right. Well, even with all my powers of prediction, I'm afraid the folks at Sega have not let me see quite that far ahead. So.
Right. Okay. Worth asking.
I do not have a good answer for you on that one, I'm afraid.
Okay. George, do you want to ask your questions?
When did Sanzaru start development on this game, and how old is the footage showing in the trailer in development for? Like,
that's a good question. I don't know exactly when they started on this one. It was definitely before I came back to Sega. And as far as that footage goes, I think the footage is relatively recent. So I think it's pretty close, but I know there are still last I heard, a number of things that they're still changing and bug fixes that they're making and just polish that they're adding. So they're still finishing it up and finalizing it, getting it all ready.
Is there a reason for the cancellation of the Sonic Boom comic, and does that affect the plans to expand the franchise in other areas?
Good question. So as for the comic, I actually have no idea. That's more about the licensing team and Archie. Archie could probably give you a much better answer than I could there.
Yeah.
But what I can answer for you is the part about the franchise in other areas, right? So we're definitely still expanding the Sonic Boom franchise. And I know there are a lot of core fans out there that probably look at the Sonic Boom series and they just think of the games. But the reality is that the TV show is doing great. We have the toy line with Tomy and a lot of licensing with other partners, and that's doing well and really taking off. And so from many perspectives, Sega as a business, Sonic Boom is a big success. And the final piece of the puzzle, though, right, and this is something that we all as gamers get and understand, is that you have to also make games. Sonic is such an iconic game character. You have to make games that really match that quality, and that's really important.
Nice. I think the next question is actually
this is already answered.
It was about Sonic Runners getting a worldwide release, but hey,
have you guys played it? What do you think?
Yeah, it's fun. I've been playing it. I for whatever reason I can't, like, just today watching a video to continue on hasn't been working, but maybe it's my Wi-Fi connection. I don't know.
Unlocking characters, that little wheel thing is pretty frustrating at times because I'm really bad at it. So
you gotta spin it faster.
Yeah.
All right. You can spin it faster? I thought it just like spun itself. Oh, I would just push it and watch and pray for Classic Sonic. Please, Classic Sonic, come to me.
I do appreciate, though, at least the roulette wheel, the chances are, the sizes are equitable to
I like that too.
Yeah.
Right? It actually shows you your odds. So you feel less bad when you fail at getting Classic Sonic or the Death Egg for the 8th time in a row.
I did want to ask a question about Sonic Team. Especially to Western Sonic fans, Sonic Team's always been a big mystery to us. As a primarily Japanese dev team, it comes with the territory. Is there any possibility of us getting to know the actual staff a little better in the future? I know that when Unleashed was coming out, there was an amazing production blog that gave a great look at some of the talent behind the games, be it character designer, level designer.
Oh, that is a really good question. And actually, I would be happy to look into that kind of stuff if that's stuff that you guys would like to see. So if you can, even let me know. And this goes out to all the listeners on the internets. If there are people that you guys know at Sega of Japan or on Sonic Team that you would like to know more about, that you would like to see an interview with, write in and let me know that on the social pages. And I will see if I can contact Sonic Team and try to get some interviews set up with these guys and maybe get them on the Sega blogs and then link out to them through the Facebook and Twitter pages and just try to get some stuff up there. Maybe even let you guys contribute with asking the questions if I can get them to agree to it. So I can't promise it, but I think that's a great idea and I would love to do it. So let me know who you guys want to see.
Nice, we shall.
Yeah.
Also, is there any word on when we'll learn more about the upcoming Sonic movie, and have you been involved at all with it since your return to Sega?
That one I don't know anything about. Sorry.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Had to ask. Also, this is, Sonic's 24th just happened. Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Yeah, happy birthday, Sonic.
Yeah, and his 25th is next year. 24th felt, obviously it's 24. It's not a big milestone. 25 definitely is. So internally, are you guys already preparing for the 25th? You have to tell me what you're doing. I was just curious if plans are already underway.
Oh yeah, you didn't see the logo yet?
What?
Yeah, there's a logo that got leaked.
There's a logo. It's out there. Yeah, the Sonic forums were like all over the place about it, inferring that Silver in it. So Silver the Hedgehog's gonna come back, and then this number is dark, which means a dark storyline. And I just kind of read it like, oh dear.
So it does have the classic Sonic, right? The head on the 25th anniversary logo.
Yes, I see it.
It's just really supposed to be a Sonic head. Well, here's what I can tell you about that since the logo has surfaced. The logo showed up at the licensing expo because obviously the licensing team plans for stuff really far in advance. And of course they need to start working now for next year.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely stuff that's in the works for the 25th anniversary. I don't have any info on what that is. We'll talk a lot more about 25th anniversary probably early next year. And in the meantime, for all the fans, there are no hidden messages in that logo. So you don't need to worry about trying to break it down and doing 12-page novels about it. The only hidden message is something related to Tails and the bees and whatever that may be. I mean, you guys you'll figure that out. So that's all I'll say.
Nice.
Did you guys know Tails is allergic to bees, by the way?
No.
I did not know that.
Actually, that might not be true. It's just a rumor I heard. I mean, it would be. I don't even know why that comes up sometimes in like documents and stuff. Like, that's weird. I mean, why would they say that, right? Unless something's going to happen to Tails involving bees in the next game. Man, that would be terrible. Anyway, let's move on to the next question.
George, go for it.
All right. Throughout the history of Sonic, there's been a lot of amazing concept art and official art for marketing. But Sega's never released an official Sonic art book. Is there any chance of us seeing that happening anytime in the future?
You guys want an art book?
We want an art book.
Well, I'm glad you asked because I happen to sit next to the licensing team. So that's pretty easy for me to just turn to them at some point and say, hey, let's do an art book. I'll absolutely ask about that. Now, you guys have to promise me, though, since I'm doing this podcast with you, if an art book releases in the next year or two, because it might take some time to put together, I expect you both to buy it. Do we have a deal?
Deal.
That's pretty easy. Yeah, deal.
Done.
Deal? All right, good.
Listeners,
I expect you to buy it, too, if it comes out. I'll absolutely put that in.
Yes, and dedicate it to us, please. Yeah.
No, but seriously, I will actually put that request in and see if anything can be done there.
Nice. So now we're entering the geeky questions zone. These are a few questions that just have been nagging at me. I did actually reach out to Kelly at one point, and she said there was answers for at least one of these or two of these. So she never got back to me. So here we go. What is the name of the island or islands in Sonic 4 episodes 1 and 2?
Yes, there are two islands. The first one is called Ken Island. The second one is called Ballo Island. And they are a paradise vacation home as you truly imagined it.
Wow.
Honestly, though, I have no idea what those islands are called, so I'm just going to call them Ken and Ballo Island, respectively.
All right. That's in my fanon. That's my headcanon right now.
It's canon now.
Yes.
It's totally canon.
Oh, man. Thank you. No, I did know that. I think at one point Kelly said there may have been a Bible for Sonic 4, but in the move, I'm sure it might be propping up like maybe a chair or something. I don't know where it is now. But if you ever come across it, the other question I had back during the promotion of Sonic Colors, Iizuka mentioned that the Sonic games have two different worlds. One is human, the other is non-human. Are these literally two worlds similar to Sonic X's storyline?
All right. How far down this rabbit hole do you want to go, my friends?
I have all the time in the world.
Yeah, Barry wants to go really deep.
All right. Well, I have 10 minutes, so I'm going to give you the condensed version. So
Okay.
here's what we got. So my understanding, personally, right, is that it does kind of work like that. There's this human world and this non-human world, but to be honest, with all of the different Sonic universes and timelines and intertwined stories and weird like time shifts, I find it easier for my conscience and for my brain to simply separate these all into sort of their respective eras. Like the classic era is in this storyline and the Dreamcast era is over here, and then there's sort of the next. That's kind of how I do it, at least. But yeah, apparently there are these kind of like two worlds, sort of similar to Sonic X. That's how the Sega of Japan created games for the most part fit into. Yeah.
Okay, so they're two separate planets.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Huh. You heard it here maybe first, I don't know. George, let's get through the rest of these questions, huh?
All right. What would you consider the most underrated Sonic game?
Tails Adventure.
Really? That one?
Yeah, man.
I wouldn't.
Tails Adventure.
I was always talking about how I think that Sonic's friends need their like own game instead of like putting them in a Sonic game, kind of like Sonic Adventure 2, where they added them in between chapters.
Mm-hmm.
What
would you say?
Me?
Yeah. What do you think is the most underrated? Because
probably
you're like that one. Like
no, I'm not saying it negatively.
Like,
I'm just surprised that you said that one. I don't know why. I don't know. I thought you were gonna say Sonic CD. Everybody says Sonic CD.
Underrated? Oh no, it's not underrated. People like it gets a lot of love, I think.
It's probably because it wasn't ported for a long time to a modern console. How about Knuckles Chaotix? That one hasn't been that one's still a 32X exclusive.
Yeah, so Knuckles Chaotix is not a bad choice. It's kind of weird with that ring mechanic, in my opinion. I wasn't the biggest fan of that one. Not a bad game by any means, and the special stages were crazy in Chaotix. But I feel like Tails Adventure, when I played it, the reason I say it's underrated is because almost it feels to me like a lot of Sonic fans don't know about it or have never played it because of like lack of a Game Gear and lack of batteries to throw at the Game Gear.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful game. It was in color, right? It had great music. It was one of the first games where you're not playing as Sonic and it's in the Sonic universe. And I love the fact that it was built in such a way that I thought it was pretty fun, and you're like kind of leveling up as you go through, even though you're not leveling, but you're getting this gear and these things that unlock new parts of levels and stuff like that. And every time I go back and listen to the soundtrack for that, I get really nostalgic. And so this could be a case of me just doing what I talked about earlier, right? I'm putting on those nostalgia glasses and remembering it better than it was. But I have fond memories of Tails Adventure as being a really fun game back on my Game Gear for road trips.
Good pick. Mine would be Sonic Drift 2, probably.
Oh, Drift was great, man.
Yeah, I loved
Drift 2 was really good. Except Eggman was a cheater. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's true.
The final race, right? Don't you have to race Eggman?
Yeah.
I just remember being really frustrated at that. Yeah. It was good though.
Yeah. George.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there a Sonic title you haven't played but you want to?
Yeah, there's probably two. The first one for me would be like the Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. It's that arcade machine, the 3-player arcade machine. That one looks really fun, and I've never had a chance to actually play it. I would love to get together with a couple of the Sonic fans and play that someday, just to say that I had. Wow. The second game, it's probably, and this is going to sound weird, right? It's probably Sonic Schoolhouse, because I've only gotten to play that for about 10 minutes, and the sections of Sonic Schoolhouse that I did get to play were equal parts glorious and completely terrifying, to the point that if you were to put really dramatic, scary music in that game, I think those moments when you open the door and Sonic like has just run behind you, right? And you open the door and somehow he's on the other side of the door and he's popping out at you. I think if you put some dramatic chords there, it would become absolutely horrifying for people. And I personally, I think it'd be really fun to see. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Nice. I will tell you, Aaron, that we have a working Sega Sonic the Hedgehog arcade machine in Chicago at Galloping Ghost Arcade. Largest arcade. What? Yeah, largest arcade.
Where is this?
In the country. It's just outside Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chicago. What's the name of it again?
Galloping Ghost.
Ghost.
Galloping Ghost. And
all right, I'm booking a airplane trip out there right now.
Well, I will say that I've actually become friends with the guys who run the place on social media, and I've been kind of talking with them about maybe doing like a Sega Day in the near future. So, if plans start rolling on that, I'll let you know. Who knows? I don't know what your travel budget is, but if there's an unofficial fan Sega game there, or Sega Day, if you want to make your way down and play some Sega Sonic the Hedgehog.
Tell them it's
man. If you guys get a Sega Day set up, seriously, let me know.
Yeah, they have a promotional balloon, like a huge Sonic balloon from, I think, the release of Sonic 2 or something like that, too. So they might bust that out.
How big?
It's, I'd say it's maybe 15 feet. 10, 15, maybe,
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's impressive.
It's big. It's
All
very
right.
big.
They're just looking for a reason to bust it out.
Yeah. So I'll let you know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
My next question is, in the 90s, Sonic was everywhere. He was on food, on snacks. Do you think we're going to see a resurgence of Sonic and food on like branded foods on the 25th anniversary and when the Sonic movie comes out?
Oh man, yeah, the 90s were really good times. I remember exactly what you're talking about, like the Franco-American pasta, right? Or like the spaghetti with the little golden rings, which was a pretty genius move in my opinion on the old team's part. I think there's definitely a desire to see a lot more branding related to Sonic. I personally don't know at all what's currently in the works, but I think it'd be kind of fun if you guys have any brands you think we should try to work with. Let me know, and we can tweet to them on Twitter or something like that, and then we can just send all the fans their way and be like, yeah, you should do it. And maybe a few hundred tweets would make these guys want to work with us. It could be kind of fun to see if we can make something happen just through social media.
Oh man, you're gonna bully them into it.
We're not going to bully them. We are going to kindly make them aware of how many really passionate Sonic fans might love to see a Sonic product tie-in.
Yeah.
It'd be great. Rock Band tweeted us the other day, so that was cool.
Yeah.
I don't even know if anything's happening with Rock Band, but they tweeted us, so I got to respond, with like Crush 40 on the tweet and a picture of the Sonoe-san's like Sonic guitar. But I think that kind of stuff could be really fun, and I'd love to see if using social media we can actually start to interact with other brands out there and other big companies and maybe someday make something happen. That's what I'd love.
I'll throw this idea out to you. Sonic Boom Fire and Ice branded Icy Hot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Although I have to wonder about the target demographic for that.
Yeah.
For the Icy Hot.
Grandma, check it out. Oh, it's Sonic. Yeah, right.
It's not, Mom.
Is it like you're buying it for your grandparents? Maybe you're trying to expand the market a bit. We've targeted kids and teens for a while now. We're really going, Sonic fans are getting older, and as Sonic fans get older, there are going to be moments when those joints don't work like they used to. And when that happens, you need Sonic Boom, Fire and Ice, Icy Hots. I got the marketing copy already written. This is great.
The problem is my parents are just going to complain that it's like Sonic has blue arms. It's not the old design. I don't want
this product is great. I love this Icy Hot, but what is up with his eyes? Why are his eyes green? I can't use this. That's what they're going to say, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. I feel like this is an accurate comparison of some elements of the Sonic fan base right there. More vocal. I don't care if this works. He's got green eyes.
Yeah. Change it. I never even noticed the blue arms until it took me forever. Even when people were making jokes of it on the internet, I was like, what are they talking about? I had to do a double take.
Yeah, and part of the reason that even happened is because we went around polling people. We're like, what color are Sonic's arms? And like a massive amount of people, like probably like 80 or 90% were like, oh, they're blue. And in your mind, whenever you would think about Sonic's arms, most people would think blue. Only a select group would be like, oh yeah, they're tan.
Oh. Because
it's kind of weird in hindsight because his legs are not tan. And if you look at the fan art of Sonic with tan legs, it looks creepy. It just looks weird.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll tell you, Aaron, there's actually official art out there of Sonic with tan legs. It was very early. I think it was maybe 1990, 1991. It was on a little poster back, those little folded up posters in the Genesis games. And Sonic has tan legs.
And it's creepy, right?
Yep. I guess in respect to your time, maybe we'll just ask this one last question. We do have 4 more. Do you think we could maybe email those to you and you could answer them just written? And if you don't have an answer for them, we'll cut them?
Yeah, absolutely. That's no problem at all.
Okay, George, ask this very important question, and we'll let Aaron get on his way.
Okay, when are we gonna have a Big the Cat game?
I'm sorry. Did you say Big the Cat?
Big the Cat game, yeah.
Like the purple cat with the
The
frog?
purple cat,
Froggy?
yes. It's
Like
been
the best character of Sonic Adventure, Big the Cat?
yes, because the Sonic team has been saying that he's not gonna be in games in the future.
Well, he was in Sonic Runners, wasn't he?
I guess so, technically.
He is in Sonic, but we're talking.
I want to
Cat
see him on the
right?
console. I want to play him on my big screen, not on my mobile device.
See what you did there with big screen. Well, hang on. Let me just. I got a dev calendar right here. One second. Let me just get this. So with regards to the Big the Cat game, there's the alpha, the beta. Okay, so the gamma code drops on the 18th. So it looks like our release date will be something like 4/1 of 2016.
Nice.
It's gonna be great.
Nice.
Can't
Do you
wait.
need the fans behind it with a Kickstarter or anything?
No, you'd be amazed. The budget for this one is actually pretty intense.
Okay.
So I was walking down the street and I found $20 just lying on the ground, and that's been our entire budget for the game. We have put at least 80% of that directly into game quality, and then the other 20% or so has gone towards late night parties, extravagant business dinners, and the occasional box of donuts. But it's going to be an amazing game, let me tell you. So 4/1, if you're not hyped already, you should be. I cannot wait.
And this is the American 4/1, not the.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's going to be a worldwide release, not just like soft launch in Canada and Japan, right?
No soft launch. We call it worldwide release, but we don't actually have the budget to translate anything. So we're just going to try and Google Translate all of it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Oh, actually,
How many times can
we're
you?
Gonna try it anyway.
You mean you can just Google Translate Froggy like in 40 different languages on Google Translate.
Froggy has more lines than you might expect. Yeah, I mean it's going to be pretty intense.
Oh man. Wow.
Intense cutscenes. All right.
I cannot wait for Big the Cat: The Battle for Christmas Island coming next year.
Sorry. Let me correct you on the title. It's actually Big's Big Fishing Adventure 3, and then there's a colon, and then it's like, I forget. The next part's confusing. It's like HD Remix Extend plus the Strike Back Electric Boogaloo, and there's a couple other colons in there. There's a bit more, like featuring Danica Patrick and Dante from the Devil May Cry series, or whatever. You'll see the full title soon. It's going to be awesome.
Banjo-Kazooie also confirmed. Thank you so much, Aaron.
DLC. It's day one DLC. You're very welcome. Yeah.
Thank you so much for confirming that. Thanks for coming on and chatting with us. I guess, is this your first interview since you came back?
This is. You guys are the inaugural podcast interview since I have returned to the company. So Thank you guys.
I just pumped my fist into the air. Well,
nice.
Hey, thanks so much again, Aaron. And the adventure has just started. We're looking forward to the new Sega of America, and of course we'll follow up with you on that Sonic Team idea. That would be a lot of fun. So, George, is there anything you want to add before we have the music start playing?
Thanks for coming on the show, and see you guys next time.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys very much for having me. It's been an honor, guys.
Awesome.
And to all of the listeners, thank you for listening in too. And we'll be in touch. So see you guys on the Twitters and the Facebooks and the social medias.
Yes, and don't forget to follow Sonic the Hedgehog on every form of social media that you can find. That's easier than listing all.
Sounds good. Yeah, right. Just find them all.
Yeah.
Be there.
This Swingin' Report show is a production of SegaBits. SegaBits is a fan site that is not in any way officially affiliated with Sega. Sonic the Hedgehog and all Sega-related trademarks are copyright Sega. All other featured trademarks are the property of their respective owners. Don't forget to check out SegaBits.com, and you can find us on all major social networks. Just search SegaBits.